Hello and welcome to the latest Weird Workshop tutorial on using Blender. In this tutorial I'm going to show you what I think are the 4 most important keys when using Blender. If you have ever used other software packages such as Adobe Creative Suite, you might have used Photoshop and Illustrator. I've occasionally used these and it becomes really infuriating because a lot of how the keys are used in the two is similar but different. Which means not only do you have to learn one, you have to effectively unlearn the other. It's not just these 2 packages, but these are the ones that come to mind. Blender can seem big and complicated sometimes, but as it is all one package, using keys for speed is a lot more consistent across the different areas. Right, let's dive in. First of all, we are going to use the X key to delete our cube. With the cube selected, press X, then confirm to delete. But why use X and not delete, which also works? I'll explain at the end. Let's now rotate our cube. With the cube selected, I press R to rotate. The axis it rotates by is controlled by the direction I am looking at it from. Rotating while looking at it from this direction rotates it like this. If I move around, it rotates it like this. To get complete freedom of rotation, I press R twice. R, R. And whoa, look at that. But we probably want much more control of our rotation. We can rotate around a single axis. RX rotates just around the X-axis. RY rotates just around the Y-axis. And the same for Z. RZ rotates just around the Z axis. After these last few operations, I've been tapping Ctrl plus Z to undo my rotations. But there is a better way than that. With my cube randomly rotated, I can press Alt plus R and that will reset all the rotations. To scale my cube object, we use S. Select the cube and press S. This scales in every direction. To scale just along a single axis, I tap S, X. This scales along the X axis only. SY scales along the Y axis only. SZ, this scales along the Z axis only. I can also scale along 2 directions and lock out the third. This might look a little odd in the 3D viewport, so make sure you have a play to confirm for yourself that this works. To lock out the Z axis, I tap S followed by Shift plus Z. This scales only along X and Y. S and Shift X scales on Z and Y but not X. Finally, S and Shift Y scales on Z and X but not Y. I can also scale a set number of units. SX5 will scale 5 units on the X axis. SY3 will scale 3 units on the Y axis. SZ2 will scale 2 units on the Z axis. And to make smaller, I can scale by less than 1. SZ0.5 will scale the Z axis by half. And now in Blender, our final key. We want to move our object, so obviously we press G. Not the most obvious, but it's short for grab, so here we go. Pressing G moves the cube in any direction. Just like the other operations, I can move just along one axis. GX moves just along X. GY moves just along the Y axis. and GZ moves just along Z axis. And you've guessed it, I can do G Shift plus Z to move along X and Y but not Z. G Shift plus X to move along Z and Y but not X. G Shift plus Y to move along X and Z but not Y. And to move a set amount of units, GX5 moves 5 units along the X axis and back again. GX minus 5. GZ5 moves 5 units up along the Z axis and back down. GZ, let's go 7. And GY6, or GY minus 6. That's introduced what I think are 4 of the most powerful keys in Blender. But what makes them so powerful? It's not just what they do, but where they are on the keyboard. They are all on the left hand side in quite close proximity. I can use them all with my left hand really easily, without having to take my right hand off of my mouse. Something that would be especially awkward if I use the delete key. If you aren't using these keys already, I recommend that you give them a go and have a practice. It will really speed up your Blender modelling. Until next time, enjoy yourself in 3D.